This conference will now be recorded.
So today let's talk about partitioning in Hive. This is again very important, both from the project and interview perspective. So before talking about partitioning, I want to give a couple of examples, right? So suppose let's say that if you take a house has been partitioned into multiple rooms, right? So you have let's say kitchen, you have living room, you have bedroom, etc. So a house can be partitioned into multiple rooms. So similarly, a table in Hive can be partitioned into multiple parts. So that's what is nothing but partitioning in Hive. And why do we need this partitioning? So this is actually one of the optimization techniques that we have in Hive. If you have your Hive queries or Hive jobs running very slowly, then we can speed it up by using partitioning technique. Now, what exactly happens in partitioning? So typically, partitioning is used to avoid the full table scan, because we are going to segregate the data, and which will help us to avoid the full table scan. So basically, whatever is required, only that portion of the data we're going to query. We are not going to query the entire data. So we are going to increase the performance of your Hive queries by decreasing the input output time required by the query. So this is nothing but once you run your query, you are going to get the results faster once you apply the partitioning technique. So let me give you one more simple example. Suppose let's say you wanted to meet one of your friend. You just know the street name, but not the exact house number. But somehow you have to meet your friend on that day. Then you don't have any other option. All you have to do is to just go through each and every house one by one, right? That's a tedious task. But if you know the exact house number, then you're actually going to go to that house, right? So the same thing happened here. So basically, we are going to avoid the full table scan of your data by querying only portion of the data that is required, not the entire data. There are two types of partitioning that we have got. One is called as static partitioning. The other one is called as dynamic partitioning. So I will directly go to the hands-on, then I'll come back to this. I'm opening my Cloudera Quick Start VM. So just to avoid any of the confusion, let me open the terminal. Click on view and zoom in twice. And I'm going to launch Hive. Terminal set title, give it as Hive. Let me open another terminal. I would probably use this terminal for any of the HDFS or Linux queries or Linux commands. Increase the font again. Show databases. I already have one of the database, but just to avoid any of the confusion, so I'm going to run a command. So ignore this command for now. I'll talk about this a little later. Ignore this. So I don't have any databases apart from default database. So I'm going to create a database for today's session. Create database if not exists. As we are talking about partition, let me create a table with the name called as Hive_partition. And I can see the list of all the databases. And I'll connect to the database that we have created. Show tables. There is nothing. Now we are going to create a partition table in Hive. I already have the dataset available in my downloads folder. I'm in downloads. I have this file called as otters. So just to avoid any of the confusion, I'm going to basically remove some of these files. So I just have only one file here called as orders. I can see the top 10 records. So based on this data, let me try to create a partition table. I'll right click anywhere on the desktop, create document, empty file, Hive partitioning. So I'm going to create my partition table this way. So create table. Table name is orders underscore part. And I'm going to define my column names. Order ID, which is an integer column. Order date, which could be of string type. On order customer ID, which could be of integer type. On order status, which is of string type. And I'm going to mention my partition column. So partition by order month, integer type. And I'll have to mention row format, delimited fields, terminated by comma. So one question in the chat, so why order date is of string type, why not timestamp type? We can even try with timestamp type, it should work. I just want to show you that even if you make it a string also, it will work. So you can do an experiment, right? When you practice, instead of string type, make it as timestamp type and give a try. I just want to show you that even if you make it a string type, it will still work. So I'm going to create this partition table. So I have this partition table created. Let me describe this. Describe formatted. And then table name is orders underscore part. So one question in the chat that I got is, a string can cause issues with duration calculations. No, I think we're not calculating the durations and everything. So that should be okay. Even if you make it a string, that should not be a problem. So look at the output here. We can even see the partition column on which we did the partitioning. Also, you can see the number of partitions. It's showing a 0. Right now, we have just created a partition table. We have not added any partitions to this yet. Hence, it is showing us 0 partitions. You can also say show partitions and then the table name. It's showing us 0. I mean, it's not giving any output, which means this doesn't have any partitions. So let's try to create a partition. Alter table name, add partition. As we have the data available from 2013-07, hence that's where I wanted to define this partition column on order month with 2013-07. Let's copy this, go to the Hive terminal and paste it. So I have created one partition. Now let's see the number of partitions here. You can see the partition that you have created. Let us describe this table one more time. Describe formatted orders underscore part. I can see number of partitions is showing as 1. Right now, what about the actual data? So actual data is always stored in HDFS. Let's copy this path. Right click, copy it. DFS space -ls. Right click and paste it. So what's your observation? Whenever you create a partition in Hive, it's going to create a corresponding directory, right? It's going to create a corresponding directory in HDFS under the table directory. Now let us create multiple partitions. So we have created only one partition. Let me create 3 partitions at a shot. So I'm going to create 3 partitions now. Let's say I wanted to create partition with 0, 8, 0, 9 and 10. Copy this and paste it here. Show partitions, orders underscore part. I have got 4 partitions now. Also, let's describe the table. Describe formatted. Orders underscore part. You can see number of partitions showing us 4. Let us check the HDFS location. DFS space -ls. Right click and paste it. So whenever you create a partition in Hive, it will create a corresponding directory in HDFS, as you can see. And moreover, these are empty ones, right? Because if you go and check inside this, we don't have any data. Let me take one of the partition. Order underscore month equal to 2013-07. So there is no data yet in these tables. In fact, you can even query it. Select star from orders underscore part. There is nothing. We have just created a partition table. We have added the partitions to it. Now we don't have any data yet. Let us see how to load the data into these partitions. But now to load the data into these partitions, I have to use orders file. There is one problem here. The problem is this has got the data for all the months 2013, 07, 08, 09, and so on. But now our partitions are segregated, right? 2013, 07, 08, and so on. So the first step that we have to do is using this file, I had to create new files which contains the data for specific months. That is, I can use a command in Linux called as grep command, and I can filter it out based on the month 2013-07. That will give me only 2013-07 records, and then the file name orders. So you can see that it's going to get me everything related to 2013-07, right? Now instead of printing the output onto the terminal, I'm going to create a file out of this by using greater than symbol, and then you can just use the file name. Let's say orders underscore 2013-07.txt. This will create a new file for me with the name called as orders 2013-07.txt. I can see the file. Just to confirm that this contains the correct data, I can just use head command. It contains this data, right? 2013-07 data. Also, I can use tail command to do this. See, this is one way of doing it in Linux. If you have any other ways, let's say you wanted to do it in Excel and then put it here, you can do that. But rather than using Excel, preferably people will go with Linux. That is better than Windows, right? Hence, I've shown this approach. If you have any other approaches to filter it out, you can do it, right? So similarly, I'm going to create the respective files for remaining months. So grep command is basically used to filter the things, right? If you have a file, if you wanted to filter it out based on a given word, then you can use grep command. It's basically used to filter your data. So I should have basically 4 files now, right? Now I have the data ready. I'm going to basically load the data into these respective partitions by using the load command. So let me use that. Load data local in path So you have to give the complete path of your file: home, Cloudera, downloads, and then the file name orders_2013-07.txt. Into table name is orders_part, and you have to mention the partition information. Because this is not a normal table, we have to mention into which partition we are trying to load the data. Order month 2013-07. 2013-07. This should be enough. Let's copy this. Right click and paste it. This should have loaded the data. You can confirm the same by running ls command on your HDFS location, and I can see the data. Now I should be able to query my table. Select start from orders_part. Let's try limit 10. You can see that we have an extra column called as 2013-07, which is nothing but your order month. So that's how the behavior will be whenever you try to deal with partition tables. You'll have a new column created based upon your partition column. So we have seen how to load the data into one partition. Let's see how to load the data into remaining partitions also. So I had to change the file names and then the partition names here. Let's copy this and go to the Hive terminal, clear the screen, right click and paste it. So we have loaded the data into 3 partitions simultaneously. I just want to go to my HDFS location just to see that things are working fine. I have these partitions. I have loaded the data into all the 4 partitions totally. The best way to see the results is ls with -R, so that you can even see the files within these directories. Right, so we are able to load the data into all the 3 partitions, all the 4 partitions in fact. So let me create one more partition. To 2013-11. Show partitions, orders_part. We have created one more partition called as 2013-11. Also, let's describe this table, describe formatted, orders_part. You can see the number of partitions is showing us 5. But I'm interested in checking the HDFS location contents. Let's copy this path, dfs space -ls, check the contents here. So moreover, look at the contents in order month 2013-11. Order month 2013-11. There is nothing right now because we have just created the partitions. We don't have any data in this partition yet. So we have seen how to load the data into the partition by using load command. Now let us see how to load the data into this partition by using a different table. But do you have any other table? Show tables. I don't have any other table. We just have only orders_part. So let us create one more table. That will be a normal table, not the partition table. We will see how to load the data into this partition by using a normal table. So I want to give the name to that table as orders_stage. So I should have one more table created by now, orders_stage. And I want to load the data into this table first. I can use load command. So this is a normal table. I'm not going to have any partition information. Table name is orders underscore stage. And let me give the path of my data. So let us query the orders underscore staging table. We have loaded the data into orders underscore stage. Select start from orders underscore stage, limit 10. So we are able to query the data in orders underscore stage. But this contains the data for all the months, right? But our primary goal is to load the data into specific partition. I want to load the data into 2013-11 partition. How can we do that? So let us build the query. Select star from orders underscore stage. I'm going to filter it based on order date column, where order date like 2013, and you can pass the month 11, then say percentage. This will get me the data only related to 2013-11. Let's try limit 10. Now this is getting me the data only for 2013-11. So I have this query ready. I'm going to insert the data into that partition now by using this. So I'm going to say insert into orders underscore part. So we have to mention into which specific partition we are trying to insert the data into. So partition order underscore month equal to 2013-07. Sorry, 11. I don't need limit now because limit is just to see the contents. I have seen the contents. The query is working fine. I'm going to remove limit. So this query should work. Let us give it a try. This will run a map-ready job. We'll have to wait for some time. So the query ran. You can see number of files is showing as 1 for 2013-11 partition. Let us confirm the same. Describe formatted orders underscore part. So let's go to this location. DFS space -ls. And I'm interested in checking the contents of order month 2011 partition. Now you should have the data loaded in this partition. So order month 2013-11. You should have the data now, right? So there are multiple ways to load the data. We have seen how to load the data by using load command, right? And we have also seen how to load the data by using a separate table. Right? There is one question which I got in the chat. Let me read that question for you. We don't use load command if we are loading partition using a query. See, we are seeing multiple ways to load the data, right? We have seen how to load the data by using load command, and we have also seen how to load the data into a partition by using a separate table, right? So whatever you've seen till now is called a static partitioning, because in static partitioning, as the name suggests, we are going to prepare our data first, create multiple files, and then we start loading the data into the partitions. One entire question that you can expect here is when the static partitioning is better than dynamic partition. Static partition saves your time in loading the data compared to the dynamic partition. So static partitioning is faster, especially when you try to load the data. But it has got its own disadvantages. The disadvantages are,
Hey,
first
Vamsi,
of all,
this is
go
Navid.
ahead. Hey, Navid,
So,
yeah, go ahead.
hey,
Go ahead.
question. So, in your insert command where you used a SQL, right, to load the partition, what if your SQL is dynamic? Would that make that partition dynamic?
Yes, I'm about to talk about that. We are stepping into dynamic partition now shortly.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So before talking about dynamic partitioning, I want to talk a little bit about the disadvantages of static partitioning. So some problems with respect to static partitioning are, first of all, you have to prepare your data. When I say prepare your data, filtering out the data, creating multiple files out of it, right? That is first step, and which is a tedious task. And once you have the multiple files available, you have to run many load commands to load the data, right? And that involves a lot of manual effort, which is time taking. Not only that, there is one huge risk that is involved. By mistake, if the user gives a wrong file name into the partition, then the data is loaded into the wrong partition. This is one of the biggest risks that is involved in static partition, right? So let me show you what I'm talking. So here we are trying to load the data into order month 2013-07 partition by using orders 2013-07 file, right? But let's say for whatever reason, if by mistake, instead of 2013-07, if I give it a 2013-08, it will not throw any error. That is, we're actually giving a wrong file name into this partition. Even if we try to do this loading, it will still work. It won't throw any error. So that is one of the problem here with respect to static partitioning, right? So that's where, even though we are able to load the data, it is logically incorrect. It is logically irrelevant data. We are trying to load the data into the right partition, right? So to avoid such problems, we generally go with dynamic partition, right? So before going there, I'll wait for a couple of minutes. If you have any questions with respect to static partitioning, you can ask me. I mean, put it in chat box. I'll wait for a couple of minutes. Any questions so far, guys? I'll wait for a couple of minutes. I think we are good then, so no problems. Let's move on to dynamic partitioning. So as the name suggests, the dynamic partitioning, the partitions can be created dynamically on the fly. Not only just the partition creation, the data also will be loaded into these partitions dynamically. So that's why, it's called as a dynamic partition. But there are certain steps that we have to follow with respect to dynamic partitioning. So first step is we have to enable dynamic partitioning. To enable dynamic partitioning, we have to set these two properties. So hive.exec.dynamic.partition, this should be set to true. The second property is hive.exec.dynamic.partition.mode should be set to non-strict. Let us see whether we have these two properties set to the correct values or not. So from here, I'm going to say hive-e set, try to grep for dynamic. I'm trying to run Hive query on Linux terminal. This will connect to Hive. It will run set query. From the output, we are trying to filter it out based on dynamic. So just select this property that we want, copy it, go to Hive terminal, clear the screen, set space that particular property name. So its value is showing us true, right? And this is what we want. So this property should be set to true. The first one is fine. Let us look at the next one. I'm going to select this property, copy it, set space, this property name. The value is showing us strict. I'm going to modify it to non-strict. So it's modified to non-strict. So these are the couple of properties that you have to set before working on dynamic partitioning. A lot of people forget to set these two, and they see that dynamic partitioning is not working. So make sure you set these two properties. In fact, in the interviews you may get a question: do we need to check for any properties before working with dynamic partitioning? Yes, you have to set these two properties with the correct value. Only that dynamic partitioning works. Otherwise, it won't. So the first one is fine. We have enabled the dynamic partitioning. What's the next one? Create a staging table. We already have created a staging table called as orders_stage. The next one is load the data into the staging table. We have already loaded the data into the staging table as well. Right. Now, in fact, we have also created the partitioning table. Now, I'm interested in this one. Load the data into a partition table from the staging table. But before that, let us try to see the number of partitions that we have got. Show partitions, orders_part. So we have got totally 5 partitions now, right, from 2013-07 to 2013-11. Now I wanted to create the partitions beyond 2013-11. That is, I wanted to create the partitions from 2013-12, 2014-01, and so on. Right, but to do that, we have to use our staging table. Right. Now, if you look at the data in the staging table, select start from orders_stage. Limit, let's say limit 5 or limit 3. This is the data in my staging table. So how is the data in my partition table? So my partition table has got this extra partition column called as 2013-07, which is order month column. So somehow by using this order date column, I have to bring in a new column called as order_month and use that to load the data into the partition table. Let us go step by step. So I'm going to prepare my query here. Select start from orders_stage. It's a limit 10. Let's copy this query. So our goal is to create a new column called as order month by using the order date column in orders_staging table. So that we'll be able to load the data into the partition table. So one more thing that you have to remember is we have to first filter out the data beyond 2013-11, because if you look at the partitions now, we already have partition till 2013-11. I wanted to create the partitions beyond 2013-11, that is from 2013-12 onwards. I wanted to create it. So I have to have a where condition. So I am going to add a where condition where order date. As I want to create partitions beyond 2013-11, right, from 2013-12 to 2014-01 and so on, I am going to use greater than or equal to. And then in the quotes, you have to give your date format. So let me take one of this record, one of this value of the order date, paste it. I'm going to modify it. because I want the partitions from 2013-12 onwards, I'm going to modify this state. So this will get me the data beyond 2013-12. That is, it will get me the data for 2013-12, 2014-01, and so on. Let's copy this. If I don't apply the filter condition, it is going to show again from 2013-07 and so on. As I already have partitions for those months, I am trying to filter it out based on 2013-12. Let's copy this. Right click and paste it. So this is getting me the data for 2013-12, right? But we had to have an extra column called as order month, which we had to create by using order date column. So for that sake, I'm going to use a function in Hive called as date format. So date format is a function in Hive which takes two things. One is the column name. Here we wanted to use order date column, and the second one is nothing but the date format. Date format. So I have to mention the date format. I can mention the date format something like this: YYYY format, because that's how my order month column was, right? Based on this format, I'm trying to define my date format also here. Let's copy this and then see the results. Have a look here. We got this extra column called as 2013-12 that we are looking for, right? Now we are good to load the data into this partition table by using this query. Let us write insert query, insert into the table name is orders underscore part, and this is not a normal table. This is the partition table. Hence, I'm going to say partition, and partition column is order month. As we have already previewed the data, I don't need to use limit command. I can actually remove this limit query. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to load the data into the partition table by using the staging table, and this will try to filter out the data from 2013-12 onwards, and this order month column in partition table will be populated by using this. Okay, I have to actually give an alias to this, otherwise it won't work. As order month. So this order month column, which is part of your partition table, will get the data from here. Let us run this query. The expectation is, first let's see the number of partitions. Show partitions. Orders underscore part. I have 5 partitions right now till 2013-11. Now the expectation is it should create the partitions beyond 2013-11. That is from 2013-12, 2014-01 and so on. It should start creating the partitions. Let us run this query. Go to the Hive terminal, right click and paste it. This will take some time. Let's wait. So we got this output now, and let's try to understand this. You can see that it is creating the partitions for 2013 12, 2014 01, and so on, all the way till 2014 12, because till that's the place where I have my data available in orders file. And not only just creating the partitions, it will try to load the data into these partitions also. You can see the data is also being loaded 2013 12, 2014 01, 2014 02, and so on. So as the name suggests, it is dynamic partitioning. It will try to create the partitions as well as load the data into these partitions also. Let's go ahead and check the partitions now. Show partitions. Orders underscore part. Initially we had 5 partitions. I can see 14 now. So total 9 partitions have been added dynamically on the fly. Right. So the highlighted ones are the ones that are created newly. Let us describe the table. Describe formatted. Orders underscore part. I can see number of partitions showing as 14. Let's check the HDFS location. Just copy this. DFS space -ls. Right click and paste it. Now you can see the partition directories for the remaining partitions also. I can see it for 2013 12, right? I can see for 2014 01, 2014 02, and so on, all the way till 2014 12. Right. Now what is the best way to see whether these have the data loaded or not? I can run ls command with -r option. That's the best way to see the results. See the data here. Let's scroll a little up. You can see the data for 2013 12, 2014 01, 2014 02, and so on. Right. So that's how we're able to dynamically create the partitions on the fly, also load the data into those partitions on the fly. Right. So automatically it took the order month from this column. As I told, this column is being used to actually load the data into the respective partitions. And then the next step is we have to truncate the staging table. Right, we have to truncate the staging table. So let's do that. So this is the process that is followed in the projects, guys. Exact same steps that we're going to follow in the projects also. So let me go ahead and show the same. Show tables. We have this orders underscore staging table. We're going to truncate it so that on the next day you're going to get the new data. Truncate table orders underscore stage. Just to confirm, you can even say select start from orders underscore stage. I should not see anything. So because in the projects for the next day, you're going to get new data into the staging table. Again, we're going to use the staging table to load the data into the partition table. So that's how it works in the projects. And now, which one is best out of these two, static or dynamic? So most likely we'll be going with the dynamic partitioning in the projects. But sometimes, the partitioning may have certain disadvantages. Suppose, let's take one example. Suppose I wanted to partition my data based on the geographical location, such as country, right? And we know that there are some countries in the world which occupies huge amount of population, right? Suppose if you take the data within those partitions, within those 4 or 5 countries, we'll have the huge amount of the data populated, right? Now, whereas coming to the rest of the countries, those are the smaller countries. Of course, their partition sizes will be smaller in size because the remaining countries just occupies only 20 to 30% of the total data. So in this situation, that partitioning may not be the ideal solution, because the data is not evenly distributed among these partitions, because certain partitions will have huge amount of data, certain partitions have less amount of data. You are not going to get the real benefit of applying the partition technique here, because this problem that we just spoke about is called as data skew problem. Data skew is nothing but the data is not evenly distributed among the partitions. Some partitions have more data, some partitions have less data, right? So to avoid such data skew problems, we have a technique called as bucketing. I'll talk about this bucketing concept tomorrow, right? So before closing today's session, any questions anybody have, let me know in partitioning. Tomorrow we'll talk about bucketing, and that's also one of the optimization techniques that we have in Hive. So before wrapping up today's session, any questions anybody have, let me know. I'll wait for a couple of minutes.
Vamsi, I didn't understand the truncate part. Is it like dropping the table or just wiping it clean?
Not dropping the table. Basically, data is not there. Let me just show that again. So I have truncated the table, and you can see that the table doesn't have anything, right? But if you see the table structure, it will still be there. So truncate is different, drop is different. Drop will completely destroy your table. Right?
So I didn't get, so why did we truncate it?
Because in the projects, right, we have the data loaded for today. Let's say for next day, you will get new set of records.
Okay.
You got it, right? So for that sake, generally that's how we follow these steps in the projects.
So it's like an ETL staging table. You load the data into production tables and then just truncate the data.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
That's what it is. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So just wanted to revisit this query one more time. So our partition table contains this order month, but our staging table doesn't have that. So to add that, we are using date format function, and we are using order date column, and we want the date to be coming in this format, and hence I'm passing the date format here. That's why I'm deriving this new column called as order month, which is used in your partition table. And we have the partitions already created till 2013-11. Hence, we are trying to filter it out beyond that. So that's about your this query.
How do we reference that partition in our, let's say, select star from table name? Well, what is the syntax?
Yeah, select. You can just query your table. Select star from orders underscore part. Let's say limit 10. So you have this extra column here, right? That's nothing but your order month column.
Oh, so that will go in the where class.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So one question I have got in the chat. So if we truncate the table, can we get the content back? So basically in the projects, right, we'll have a team called as data source team. Their responsibility is to load the data into the staging table. So we are not going to worry about how they're going to load it. We will get the data into the staging table, and we're going to follow the same process. Right. I hope that answers the question. So Bhavana is asking, how can I get the partition month wise, like 2014? I didn't get the question. What is your question, Bhavana? Unmute yourself and ask the question.
So we are not specifying the partitions based on month wise, right? So you have given that where order date greater than 2013 11. I mean, we are getting partitions month wise, right? Like 2013 12 2014.
1 minute. We are not getting it based on month wise. We are getting it based on the date wise, right? So for every record, we have this column populated, right? You can see 2013 07. We'll have 2013 07 25. We'll have for next day also. Basically, we are trying to get all the month related columns. That's where we are going to filter our data based on this order month. That's how we are going to avoid the full table scan of your data.
Okay, so during dynamic partitions, it has created like seven partitions, right? Right, 20,
9
13,
partitions. 9 totally. Yeah.
9,
Yeah.
20, 14, 0, 1, 20, like that.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
we
Correct.
didn't specify that, right? I mean,
So that's how it is going to pick it up from here, right? So you can see order month column. This is being used here.
okay.
That's how we are getting that.
So it will pick for every month.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, guys. I think that's all for today. I have another meeting to join. I'll meet you guys tomorrow again. So one question that I got here is, so we have created an internal table today, not an external table. You guys also follow the same example for external table. It should work. You can give it a try and let me know.
Vamshi, Kiran here. Actually, I tried to pin in the WhatsApp, but maybe you're busy with your thing.
Okay, Kiran. Hey, I'll call you tomorrow morning. You can have a screen share. Just keep your laptop ready. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay, Vinith. I think you have some issues with MySQL. I'll get back to you on WhatsApp. Yeah. I'll have a look at your query and I will see if you are running the query correct or not. I'll get back to you. Okay, guys, that's all for today. Let me close the session. We'll meet tomorrow. See you then. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.